All right, so we have with me today, and listen, and folks, you guys hear me talk about this from time to time, and we say it, and it's a good thing that as we were talking a little bit off screen here with Shawn Knapp, the GM of your Orlando Predators that are coming back to the Arena Football League, which is beyond exciting. Maybe not so much for the Tampa folks, because the Tampa-Orlando rivalry, we all know it. Tampa, is not a stranger when it comes to AFL, but it's good that Shawn and the Orlando Predators are coming back to the Arena Football League. But the one thing I will say is, when things stop being fun, you don't want to do the stuff anymore. For me, it's been fun getting to know Shawn in a short amount of time, and the connection, and we'll talk about it as the conversation goes on here. But Shawn, you and John, to kind of start off there, and then we'll get into other things, but you guys have this connection. Number one, it's like there's just a bond there that we don't get to see as broadcasters, as fans. We don't get to see that connection too many times because you guys have this thing where you guys mix it up, and you mix it up really well. And for those that don't know, on Facebook, you guys have your live show that you do every 2 weeks. You guys just have one on the 19th.
Live, yep. It'll be every week once the season starts. But it's every other week when off season.
But to me, that's fun though, because watching when you guys go to different places. So it's not like it's at the same place, but it's fun how you guys go back and forth. So number one, welcome to Martinez and Company. Let me start off with that one. And as well, thank you for taking the time. I know it's busy, even though it seems like April may seem like an eternity for some folks, but for you guys, it's here. It's ready. So, the preparation, getting ready for now thank God the the Arena Football League came back. What's it like when it comes to the preparation as things are now just coming fast and furious?
Well, first of all, Angel, thanks for having me on the show. I greatly appreciate it. So thank you very much. And you know what? Coming fast and furious is an understatement, right? Because people think months out is a lot, but there's so much to do in that short span of time that we're really pushing. My whole crew is pushing it to the limits. And especially when you start adding things in, it's one thing when you were coming back to a league you were already in. Mm-hmm. So you kind of had everything in place. You just kind of followed it through the format. And, there's always things you have to adjust and do. But when you now put it into the fact that we're jumping into a new league, right? The AFL, which is coming back. And the league itself is really getting everything geared up and put together. So it's kind of a moving target for us right now. So we've got multiple things going on, not just us, but also with the AFL coming back and getting ready. And, thank God that the AFL has the great leadership that it does between, Lee and Travell over there. Lee Hutton, Travell Gaines. I probably should say their whole name so people know who they are, but they're a fantastic group. Matt helps me out a lot with them as well. It's exciting because it's almost like doing something. It's like doing something for the first time, even though, you're still in arena football, right. But it's a lot of challenges, but it keeps you on your toes. So we kind of like that.
I would bet it. And for those who don't know, the Arena Football League, when I was in Philly, when I was back home, now of course I reside here in Tampa, I've been down here since 2018. I was able to see the Philadelphia Soul win it back to back. Your head coach, former player for the Philadelphia Soul, your head coach I would say is unique because there was a quote from, and I want to make sure I read it correctly, because Fran Papasadero, if I say the name correctly, says, with tremendous quickness, I felt defense would not be a problem. And he's talking about EJ. Offensively, he had a pretty good feet. He just didn't know how to use them. I felt like we brought him along slowly. He would have had a chance to contribute. As it turned out, we looked like geniuses for signing him. But honestly, we had our doubts just like everyone else. Now, how things come around full circle, because it's not like he didn't bring him down. It wasn't like anything offensive. And he felt like he was a great player. But then now, as a head coach, it's a different story. And I like when stories get turned around, because it's one of those things like, sure, you may not perform to the best of your ability to some coaches, but some other ones end up liking you. But then you guys now hired him, and has been hired for Orlando, but it just goes to show that he never gave up. And that's the most important part. I think when you're venturing out and doing something, he didn't give up, and you guys have not given up on him as well.
You know what? we went through the head coach process for hiring, and we were lucky enough to have a lot of great people reach out to us for the position. So everybody started out in the same level, and as we went through it, it just kept coming back time and time again to EJ because A, he's played in it, B, these coaches that you're talking about, along with Gruden, Les Moss, all those greats from arena football, they're actually mentors of his. So, he's had some great mentorship that's kept him going, and he's applied that to everything he's done. So, he's done a great job for the organization as a whole. And when it was time to decide on the head coach, he was just a perfect fit for us. He's walked the walk and talked the talk, as they say, right? So, he's held records out there. People need to go check out, some of his stats and some of the stuff he did. We have players that, are making bets with him now to see if they can break his tackle record. So that kind of camaraderie. And then, it was always good that we saw him in action, right, when he was leading the defense. Right. And now we know he can take it to the next level, and he's the guy to lead our team. And it was just the right time to take the right chance. And I think he's just going to keep developing and developing. And, one of the things, even before I got here, is that it seemed like we've gone through quite a bit of head coaches. That stability hasn't really been here. So when the owner, John Chaney, and myself, after last season kind of sat down and we went over it and reviewed things, and we said, look, we're not hiring a coach. There might have been a coach with a better pedigree that we could have got, but maybe for one season or something like that. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a great coach that's a great fit with a pedigree that he'll learn and keep going with the Orlando Predators. And that's what we want is long term. And I think EJ is going to bring that stability. And I also think, along with him are the rest of our great coaching staff. So we got, Coach Marcus Manuel, we got Coach Rickerson, Scipio. So I think we've got a great core of guys that he'll be able to lead and get done what we're looking for.
Now, the tough part to that is, right, because you guys, like you said, you like his pedigree, and so will other teams. And it's funny because some coaches, we've seen it around the league, whether it be in basketball, baseball, football. We've seen some coaches that may not perform well with their former team, but there's a team always out there that says, this is that missing puzzle that we need to be a part of it. So now with you guys sticking with them with Orlando, and for me, I will just say, because obviously, I'm not back home anymore. So now watching what you guys are doing, and now needing a arena football team myself, and watching what you guys are doing here with Orlando and believing in them, that's what, for me as a broadcaster and also as a fan, that's what I look for, because I want to see when teams actually want to run with their head coach and to build these surrounding pieces around it. And from what you just stated there, it's good. It seems like EJ is in a very good place with you guys. And that's the best part that you want to see, because your head coach needs to feel from the ownership and from the GM that I'm well received, I'm well loved, and now what can we build around there? So I'm excited to see what's going to happen this year, because again, April 27th, you guys are on the road. You're back home, Cinco de Mayo, that should be a blast. I mean, how perfect can it be that you guys at home on that day?
Yeah, no, we're excited. I joke with everybody, Cinco de Mayo is going to be our Irish theme.
Nice.
So, but it's just the way the schedule worked out. It was Cinco de Mayo, so that's fantastic. Listen, it's always tough when your first game for everybody in the league, your first game's an away game, right?
Yeah.
And especially when it's a team like, Albany, the Firebirds. So it's going to be a good little rivalry. And we had players from Albany last season, and we get along with them. We're great, but you know how it is in all my sporting endeavors. I, especially with wrestling, I tell everybody, when I'm on this side of the white circle, we're all friends. When I step over that line and I'm in the circle, all bets are off. And that's the way everybody's going to be this season. So, we're looking forward to that first game. It's going to, hopefully get the jitters out and get everything, and talk about throwing a new head coach into a new situation, putting him out there on the road for the first game. That'll be it. But again, that's one of the things that's great about EJ. He's been out in the field. He's been out on the road. He knows how to adapt to things. as do all of our coaches with them. So yeah, it's exciting. We're looking forward to it.
Now, as we talk about the road and we talk about Cinco de Mayo, and I heard what you guys on your last live broadcast, which you guys were having a ton of fun when I was listening into it, is that you guys had talked about obviously like your dance team, and I'll get to that in a second too, because it's a great point. You as a GM, and the same way with the ownership, it's different. If you and I, we were on American Idol, it'd probably be easier for us to say, oh yeah, that's a great quality dancer, But when, as a general manager, you have all these different hats that you have to wear. So that's another part of the business you have to take care of. But along with that is the fan base. And Orlando has a humongous fan base. We see it even with the Orlando Magic for the years that they weren't, they were like my Sixers, for example. Sixers weren't doing that well, but the fan base stayed there because they knew eventually it was going to turn things around. For the Predators, because we're all hungry for football. It just seems like we need football in our lives all year round. And now with the AFL, it picks up on it. Also, with the UFL, what they got, their season gets ready kicked off. But your fan base in Orlando, how much has it meant for them that they know now that you guys are back? Not like you went anywhere, but that you guys are back, but are back now with the AFL.
We're very lucky in the fact that we have a great fan base. In fact, we've won best fans multiple years in a row in the other league, a former league that we're at. So that's always exciting because when you have a great fan base, you have great energy, right? When you have great energy, it just makes everything better. The players get more into it. The fans feed off each other. The coaches feed off each other. So I think, when you say back into the AFL, which is fantastic, I think we have such a great fan base and what we love so much about it. I don't think it mattered where we played. They would follow us and they'd come out. I just think now there's a super level of excitement now that we're back, back into the old guard of the AFL, because remember, these same fans have followed this team well before I have, some of these fans they know all the way back to the beginning of the AFL out here. So they're excited. They're ecstatic about that. And that's what we just want to keep, keep them going, keep them happy. And again, when you have a good fan base, it feeds, we've got some people that said, we didn't know you were back and you're in the AFL. Well, A, we don't like to hear you didn't know we were back, but B, we are, and here we're in the AFL. So welcome home. Come on back and enjoy.
Right. And it's great too, because again, you have a lot of folks in Florida, minus the locals that were natives of Florida. You have an influx of us that moved in from the north and we moved down here. I personally, even though I moved from Philly, I didn't bring the hostility or all the crazy madness, because once I came down here, it was like, boy, this is life. I love it. I'm 2 miles away from the beach. Life is beautiful. So it's great because you have a fan base now that is very eclectic. You guys somebody moved in from the West Coast. Now you have them over on the East Coast of Florida. But again, because they're passionate fans. When you make a run like the way they did when they were originally with the Arena Football League, 19 seasons in a row to make it into the playoffs, and then to finally win it all in 98 and back again in 2002. I mean, the fans have seen this team. They've seen it grow. They've seen it, may have fallen apart. And again, not in a bad way. It's just seasons that it may have not gone well. But that's a stretch for a long fan base to be there and say, you know what, I am diehard. I am here through thick and thin. And the events, it seems like you guys put together, it just brings more of the fan base out there. And now with you guys, again, even though I keep referencing back to you guys are back, but you guys really didn't go anywhere, it's just nice to see, because now the Kia Center, I would imagine that place is just going to be wall-to-wall excitement when Cinco de Mayo rolls around and you guys are playing a home game, because, again, that's what we show up for. We want to see what you guys, the product on the field, and not even as much as what's on the field, but other fans and how they feel. And I think that, to me, that's so important, and something that I don't think I've ever asked from a general manager's side of the house is that amongst, again, all the hats that you are wearing, it's the fan experience more and more now, because we know with social media, it's easy to put something out there that one person, just one, had that much of a bad experience, but it blows up and now it's like, oh, great. We got to start from scratch here. It seems like with the Predator fans, and what I've seen and I've read, that it's never been that case. So is there any kind of and I know there isn't, but is there like a magical formula that you guys have put into place to say, okay, here's how we keep the fan base, and or is just everything all organic?
I think it's a little bit of both, probably, right? So we're in the entertainment business, right? Isn't that sports are really the entertainment business?
Yeah.
So, we kind of base everything around that. The owner's philosophy, John's philosophy, and that's part of the reason I'm on board is if it's not fun, it's not worth doing.
Correct.
So, I don't know how many owners go out there and get painted up as the heat miser, for a game or the Joker. I mean, he just has a blast with it. And people feed off of that. I mean, you could tell our owner, John has his shirts that he wears, and you could tell him wherever he's at. You could just tell how he's what he's up to, and he's just having a great time. And that's what we want. There's so much stuff on the outside with everything going on, and we just want you to come here and just focus on having a good time.
Right.
My joke is we have a party and a football game breaks out, right? So that's how we want people to feel, and we're very fan oriented, so we want to make sure that the fans are a part of it. And the great thing, I've never heard, even prior to me being with this team, of anybody wanting their money back because they didn't enjoy it or have a good time. So there's always going to be some things that people are nitpick about or aren't happy about, but never anything that they're not going to want to come back, or they're not going to, it just hasn't happened. And I attribute that to the whole atmosphere, and that starts with our fans. So, if it wasn't for number 9, that's what keeps things going, right? In every sport. Well, they're not number 9 for other sports, but in ours, that's the way it goes. So, it's all fan base, it's all entertainment, and let's just have a good time.
Now, the reason why I've kind of harped when it comes to the fans, because in the same way, it's the energy. We talked about it towards the beginning here of the conversation, is that everything is about energy. If you wake up in the morning, some mornings you just wake up like, it's just going to be one of those days. And you have whatever drink you prefer first thing in the morning, and then things change because your attitude tends to change.
Yep.
But when it comes to not only becoming an owner of an organization, then it's the key pieces you put around you. And you want that same type of energy, because everybody knows every day may not be, sunshine and flowers. It's just, sometimes it's just, it's a stretch. It's just the way it happens. But you guys, it seems like with the organization, just watch when you and John are doing here, is that the energy level is high, but high in a great way, to the point where that's what you guys are looking for in your staff, in your players, that no matter, we could have the worst game possible today, but it doesn't matter, because next week is a brand new week, and we get to just let that go for a couple hours. We'll sit on it, figure out what went wrong, and we'll pick it up from there. So how much, when you and John are talking and you guys are putting your staff together, you're putting the roster together, yes, we know that you need some good acquisitional players that know how to play the game and they study the game. But how much does the energy matter to both you and John?
Well, energy is a big key to this, right? And I thought I had a lot of energy, but then John just supersedes everybody by leaps and bounds. His energy levels is unbelievable, and it's contagious, which is a good thing. I'm very lucky because I feel I have the best staff out there, right? This isn't like pro teams like the NFL, NBA, stuff like that have assistants to assistants to assistants,
right,
where you can do all that. We have a very limited number of people, right, that you have in the organization, especially in the front office area. So, I've got, key people, we have, we call, his name's John. You can call him IT John, because he handles all the IT and all the social media, all that stuff for us. Because I used to say John, and they both turn around. I go, no. I had to come up with a better way. So he's IT, and I lovingly call the owner Crazy John, because he's crazy fun, right?
Right.
And crazy energy. I've got my assistant. I've got Brittany. I've got, everybody that helps me, Mikey, that gets the riders ready. So everybody has to have a good energy level, and so that we can all feed off it. And you're absolutely right. Not everybody's going to be firing at 100% all the time, right? Some of us are like, today's a 50% day, but then that's when the key people around you help get you going, right? Or they pick up the slack if needs to be done that day.
Yeah.
And then again, you got to trust, your coaches, right? So EJ, prime example, we're not going to sit there and oversee every decision he's making and every player that he's, deciding on. we'll let him bring everybody into camp. We'll be out there. We know who's coming in and out. And then we'll also assess as well. And, you and I were joking earlier because John and I were talking on a show about the process for our dancers, right?
Right.
So Laura, one of the best dance coaches we've won best dance team for 3 years, right? So, we have to go in and we have to assess things as well. So one of the things is we were part of a judging panel. I have 2 left feet. What do I know, right?
Right.
They're doing it right or wrong. But I look at it as a fan. Well, we have professional judges as well, and they're critiquing the actual steps and everything's timed right. I'm looking, is this person making contact as if I'm a fan? Is this person happy about doing this? Do they want to be out there? You kind of feel, and I said this in our show, you kind of feel funny staring at, a line of dancers, and then we narrow it down 3 and 2, but then you got to realize this is all for the benefit of the Orlando Predators organization. We want the right people in there. So I want to make sure that this young lady out here is happy doing this and shows that, and that it'll go out to the crowd. And that's how we also like our players, right? You can have the best players in the world, but some of the most favorite players aren't always the best ones in the league, are they? They're the ones that maybe a fan or the fans latch on to, and they're like, wow, I really like that person for energy, play, whatever reason it is. So you're absolutely right. Energy is a big key. I feed off of John. John and I, if I was just like John, he wouldn't need me, right? Or he wouldn't want me. There's no need to have 2 of yourself in the organization. You need people that think different. So, he can finish my sentences. I can finish his sentences. I can't read his mind yet. I'm working on that as hard as I can. But he makes that a tough one. But, he's just a great guy to be around. And his enthusiasm comes down to me, and it spreads out. We spread that out to everybody, and that's the way we want the organization to run.
And that's a good way to look at it, because you got to figure again, I was excited to talk to you today. Thankfully we reached out and you said that you would, to come on, and it's great because again, it's tough when you've never met someone for the first time. And I even mentioned it on a broadcast yesterday. It's different when you and I were growing up to get the interest of someone, you physically had to talk to them, just approach them like, hey, how are you? How's things going? Now in this digital media age, a lot of the youth don't have the same kind of communication skills that we had before. So for me, it was exciting because as I'm reading and I'm looking at all the different things you were doing, like, this is going to be such a great conversation, such a fun conversation, because I think we can see a lot of eye to eye to a lot of different things, especially you and the ownership, because again, even watching it on Cycle Fever TV and just the splash that comes up there, and you guys, you have your van that's in the background, the 4 of you are standing out there, and even if there's no sound to it, you can tell just organically, once again, you guys are just having fun. And that's the toughest part on any organization at any level. And I will tell you, because obviously also as an Eagles fan, we're kind of distraught what happened towards the latter part of the run here. But the good thing is that watching what you guys are doing, talking to everyone, being out on location, those are things that really resonate with the fans a lot, because that's what they want to see. They want to see how much of the ownership side and the GM side of the house, how much you guys end up really connecting. Now, the one thing I will say, which I'm now excited to hear what the big news is, which you can't share until you guys do the next show, but I'm dying to know what the big news is, because you guys, it's great how you guys teased it, because one thing I will say, you can have the biggest production stage right anywhere. You guys make things very simple. And to me, that connects a lot more, because it means that they're getting down to business, but at the same time, too, they're having fun. So I would love to know what it is. I know you can't tease it out there, so I'll have to wait for the episode to drop to hear what's going on.
When it happens, you'll definitely know, Angel. So, and then you'll be, damn, why didn't I have Shawn on next week?
Well, then that might be the teaser. I might have to have you back on.
We have some amazing things just coming down the pike. And again, I attribute this to just the league itself, to Lee Hutton, Travell Gaines, the stuff they're doing for the league. And it's all exciting stuff. And, we were one of the first teams to jump into the AFL, right?
Right.
So when we heard about it, I think I might have, John, I said, John, we were talking about the AFL. I go, what do you think? He goes, I'm in. I mean, that was the conversation. So
That was
He knew
quick.
where he was going. Now it was just figuring out how to do it. So, it's being run. There's that there's a bunch of indoor leagues out there, right?
Yep.
But we were looking for something different and something that we think was going to be the pinnacle, and this is the pinnacle. And when we dove in the beginning, it was kind of like, who knows, right? Hopefully. But we believe we checked them out. We did background on them. They were fantastic, upstanding people. And then we got to know them, and it got even better. And then, just like building a team from the beginning, they're building the league from the bottom up, and they're doing it right. And even they're building it from the bottom up, it always counts from the top down, doesn't it? Right?
Sure does.
People that you have there is what's going to create the whole atmosphere. So that was what was really exciting to John and myself. So once we dove in that direction, it's just been uphill. And anybody that's been following it knows when we first announced, it was amazing, the naysayers out there. It'll never happen. They'll never make it. It's not going to. And now here we are. And people are kind of quiet out there. And, I think they've figured out, I guess this is going to happen. Let's get on board and get behind it. So it's been very exciting. And the things that they've done for this league, I'm going to be honest with you. John's had ideas when I first came on with them that we tried to implement into the other league. They wouldn't hear it. They wouldn't have, they just didn't want anything to do with it for some reason. I think because it was us. Basically,
Right?
it was the Orlando Predators. This league's been open arms. They'll listen to us. They'll take into account that every owner has, to say. But the fact that we're one of the teams that's been going since the old AFL, right? We've still been in the game. We've still been playing. So there's things that have changed along the way that we've adopted to. So that's something that we can point out, and they can say, you know what, that's a good idea. We didn't think about that. Or, this is what we're looking to do. So the fact that they're willing to hear us all out and take that all in has been phenomenal. And again, there's a few of us teams that came over. There's ourselves, there's West Texas, right? And there's Albany. So we're us as the Orlando Predators, not just what we're doing for ourselves for the league, but we're trying to help the other teams, that maybe their name's been there, but they're just jumping into, the arena side of things, because we want the whole league to succeed. We would have never got involved if we thought this was going to be a 1-year thing or a 2-year thing. That's why we wanted to know what the game plan was from the beginning. They laid it out, and they're moving right along with it. Actually, they're moving further along than we thought. So I think, the teaser that we threw out there, I'm glad you picked it up, that we're just normal guys having a good time, right? And guys and gals, the whole crew of us. And so when it comes out, you guys will be excited to hear it, and we'll be excited to let people know.
So which now means I'm going to have to have you back once you break the news, because
there you go.
Again, I'm dying to know, because once I heard, I'm like, oh, come on. And I should have waited until afterwards, but I was excited to talk to you beforehand, because again, it's the energy. Like I said, it's great to connect with you. It's been a lot of fun as far as having the conversation today. And there's two last things I want to bring up as well, because one thing that leads into the others, it comes to sponsorship. Now, you guys have mentioned Monster, and I believe you're talking about Monster Energy. Yep. As a sponsor, but sponsors that we know, right? And I will tell you firsthand, being an owner of a radio station, it's hard, especially when you're very small, you're starting off, it's the hardest. Not that, it's any takeaway too from Orlando Predators, because even though you guys have been around, but again, now you have to resell yourself, rebrand yourself when it comes to sponsorship. I don't think people may not understand when it comes to the experience when they listen to different interviews. Some people think, I don't understand how in the world this company doesn't have X amount of sponsors. But it's tough, because it's not only you guys, it's other teams, other companies, fundraisers. Everybody looks for this money, and you hope. And after COVID, unfortunately, companies had to take a step back, because they had no problem putting out money, because they were getting that money in return. So how hard has it been, or easy, even easy for that matter, for you guys to be able to acquire sponsors, at least to get you through, like, let's just say the first season?
Sponsorship's a very big part of it, right? And it's always hard to get sponsorship. And then what's one of the hurdles for us in Orlando it's not like we're the only game in town, right?
Right.
So, everybody's got, they've got the Magic, they got the Solar Bears, we got the Pride, we got Orlando City. Last season we had the Guardians, which we're sad to see that they're not going to be back, in Orlando. But, hey, those of you out there that still want to see some football during that time of the year, come on in. You'll never get rained out where we're at, right?
Right.
But, so we're really competing against a lot of big hitters for sponsorship. And then when you add into something like, you talked about COVID, so it's trying to revamp up from that. And then when you say, okay, we're in a new league, then they're kind of like, okay, how's that going to go? So you need to give people the trust and let them know, hey, we've been around. This is what we do. Enjoy it. I think since John has taken over ownership of the Orlando Predators, he's been out there a lot with people, and they're getting to see him out there. They're getting to know him. Just like you said, they look at the Orlando Predators. They're going to look at the ownership, the GM, the staff, the whole package, right?
Right.
So yes, it's tough, but we've been very lucky. We had, some sponsors last year, City Beverage that we were working with. We didn't get to them until too late last year, right? So they saw that we're back again this year. They were excited to, for the partnership with us. That's what led us to Monster. Now, Monster, it's not their sports drink, right? It's not that. They actually have an alcohol beverage.
Okay.
Which I didn't realize until this came about. So it's a perfect fit. They matched us up. It's a perfect fit because it's called the Beast.
Oh,
so
wow.
You got the Predators now, with the Beast, a monster drink. And then they just unleashed one that's called Nasty Beast. And that's their take on teas. So that just came out. And they just unveiled that car actually in the races over the weekend. So we're very excited, stuff like that. Sponsors like Rothman Orthopedic, part of Advent Health. So they take care of our players. You get these key sponsors, and then they start really helping you out. And it's like an anchor tenant, right?
Right.
And then that's how you can get more and more people. So we're very excited about Monster, just like we're excited to have Rothman back, JJ Fresh, all of our, sponsors that we had. But it's a tough gig. And again, it's not like these professional, we're a professional arena league team, but it's not like the NFL and the NBA that have year-round staffs taking care of all that. So, once the season's over, then you start dwindling down, and you just keep going and keep the momentum going. And that's what we're doing now. And I think that once this new announcement comes out, I think it'll help everybody in the league with sponsorship and butts in the seats.
That's terrific. I'm telling you, see, now it's been even the extra tea, so I can't wait for the announcement to come out to hear what's going on. But the final two things here is that you guys are extremely busy because obviously you have today you're on with me, but then tomorrow you guys have the fundraiser. Let's raise some dough.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow, and that's
Team Jenna.
Yeah. And so I want you guys to talk about that because there's also a silent auction that goes along with that from 6 to 8 p.m. But just for people who don't know that live here locally, whether being on the West Coast side of Florida, or anywhere around where they can possibly come out and help you guys out.
Yeah, you know what? It's being held at Giuseppe's Pizzeria out there in the Port Orange area. And it just so happens that's where the owner lives. John's out there. He's been going there for years. And when he was in there, he overheard them talking about an event that's going to be coming up Friday. And it just so happened this poor little young lady was riding a horse and fell off and broke her arm.
Wow.
And through that process, she ended up being diagnosed that she had cancer. So,
Wow.
You hate to see any child get hurt, but, if who knows what would have happened if this didn't happen and she didn't get diagnosed. So John, being the guy that he is, will give you the shirt off his back. So, he said, hey, we want to get involved. What can we do? So, we're going to have a couple of Prowler dancers out there, a couple of players, a coach, myself will be out there, John will be out there, and just given to a great cause. You can go online. I unfortunately don't have it right in front of me, but I know if you look up Giuseppe's, that you'll be able to go in through there and find everything as far as the auction and that sort of stuff. But we're putting together a basket for him, and John's auctioning off tickets to come into the owner's suite with them. So, like I said, I probably won't. I'm not allowed in there, but you guys can go in there and have a good time.
No, it would be a good time. By the way, for those who want to know exactly where it is, it's carringbridge.org /team Jenna /journal. So for those who want to, even if you like to donate, by all means, please visit it. Therefore, you guys can help it out, because if it wasn't for the accident, you're absolutely right. We hate that she got injured, but if it wasn't, we may be talking about two different sides here. Instead of helping her out, we could be talking about different kind of arrangements. Yep. So, things happen for a reason every single time. And the last thing is, because as you talked about your Prowlers, the dance finals is Saturday, February 24th from 6 to 9 p.m. You guys are going to be at the Ryder Park Amphitheater, which there's going to be food trucks. And I know you guys also mentioned it too on your live broadcast, but that should be a really good time. And thankfully, the weather is finally starting to come around, so it should be like in the 80s over the weekend. So that should be a great turnout.
I'm glad Laura picked this weekend and not last weekend, right?
Yeah.
But, it's going to be a great time. Again, it's free to come on out. Just bring a chair or blanket or something, because there's a nice field right there that everybody just sits in and hangs out, and you get to watch. So it's a great experience for people to come out, and they can kind of see what these young ladies go through. So we're going to have 21 young ladies. So it's been narrowed down, and it's been a heck of a process. So we've got it narrowed down to 21 young ladies that'll be out there. So they're going to come out. They're going to dance as groups. They're going to dance, large groups, small groups, individual stuff. And so everybody gets to see them and see what happens. And then, such as sports, unfortunately, we'll have to make the cut, and we're going to make the cut that night. So we'll present our 12 Prowlers for the 2024 season. So it's a great event for fans to come out, and people, maybe they're just hearing about it for the first time. We get people that just happen to be at the park and come over and go, "What's going on here?" Hey, this looks fun. So, and then that gets them involved in the Predators as well. And it never hurts when you got some food trucks and a bartender.
Oh, yeah, it sure doesn't. That's for sure. But no, it should be a good time. And I hope that everybody comes out there and takes a look and see what's going on as far as, with the dance team. And it stinks because someone's going to get cut. That's just the way it is. But to the ladies who make it, congratulations. To those who get cut, don't give up, because there's always next season. You also don't know what other team here in Florida is going to pop up that you could be a part of. So, listen, Shawn, thank you so much for taking the time. I know your busy schedule, and by all means, say hello to John Cheney. I hope you guys have a very successful season. I can't wait myself to get out there to one of the games out there at the Kia Center, because I'm pretty sure that's going to be quite the crowd you guys are going to have there this year.
Yeah, well, that makes three of us, Angel. So you let us know when you're in town. We'll get you in there and make sure you have a good time. And, thank you again for having us on here, having me on here, I should say. And greatly appreciate it, and looking forward to talking to you again.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, because after the big news reveal, I definitely have to talk to you again and see exactly what's going on. But for everyone else, thank you for listening here to the interview, the conversation here with Shawn Knapp, the GM of your Orlando Predators, and we will be right back.